minutes late. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My brothers and sisters who are listening, thank you for logging on to Al Mubarak Radio. We're here again on the Revert show. This is the show that we discuss about people who have reverted to Islam. So we have Abdul Rashid with us in the studio, and we've also got a friend of mine who we recently met. His name is Paul Burr, and I'll let him introduce himself, both of them, in fact. And the idea is that we're going to talk about how the Revert show is mainly about sharing information about those people who embrace Islam, who are from a different faith, Christianity or Judaism, or whatever, agnostic or atheist. And the idea is that for listeners to understand and learn about what made them come into the fold of Islam, and also to give them some inspiration. And there are many non-Muslims who are also listening who can hear and learn about some of the stories that we can hear from. So that's why we got Abdul Rashid here. And Paul, as yourself, I did say to you, you are welcome to ask questions about Islam and the Muslim culture.
Yes.
We've got about 55 minutes, hopefully today. And as we hear from Rashid, you're welcome to ask any questions of me or Rashid. And also, hopefully, any general questions that you have about Islam, we'll try to answer as best as we can.
Okay, I might not have that many questions about
Islam. So if I just quickly ask Brother Rashid to introduce himself first.
My name is Abdul Rashid. I live in Batley, and I joined Islam about 8 years ago.
Okay, so if Paul can just introduce himself and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Paul Burr. I run a few projects in the Dewsbury area, tackling youth unemployment, probably being the one of the main ones. A Royal Society of Arts Catalyst project. Okay. So, quite a bit of community stuff, really. And I'm not converted to Islam. I'm just here really observing, and I'll ask questions.
Are you a Christian, or are you, do you believe in the faith?
Well, I think we have the spirit. Yeah, I think we have belief. And I think, if you look at spirit, that's about how it interacts with yourself rather than, maybe a constraint of a religion that says this is who we are and what we believe in. I don't think there's really that much difference.
You believe in spirituality, as you say.
Yeah, that's right.
You believe in universal principles.
Yeah.
But you don't specifically follow a specific faith.
A specific faith. No, I think I've been very lucky in my life that my parents were a little bit older. My father had travelled the world. And although it's sung in York Minster as a child, and my mother had been to Sunday school every Sunday, because we're a little bit older, they decided, hey, you can make your own choice. Yes. And so I've really had an open mind to the subject.
Okay. And how much do you know about Islam and Muslims?
Not that much, really. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, I have dealings with people from a lot of faiths, and they're all really nice people. And it makes me wonder why there's, we have so much trouble in the world around colour of skin or religion or all these other things. And, the people I meet, they're actually really nice people. It makes you wonder why we aren't going from the perspective of, why don't we have a look at what we've got in common? Absolutely. Really simple stuff, like we're all human beings. Start there.
As you go along in terms of looking at different faiths, particularly Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, there's so much commonality between our faiths that there are differences. And when you start to learn about the differences, you start to respect and value them. You're quite right. And I have promised you to take you to a mosque, a local mosque, and I will do that hopefully.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay, that's a good introduction. So, Brother Rashid, tell us what made you come into the fold of Islam, and when did you embrace Islam? Which year?
The main reason why I came into Islam is because when my late wife was living, we went to Bridlington in the car, which I don't drive now because of her illness that I located. And as we were in Bridlington, we got lost. We went into the old town in Bridlington, and I was pushing my wife in a wheelchair. And as I was trying to find my way back to the coach park, where the car was, boy round about 17 or 18 stopped his bicycle and he said, "You're lost." Now, I must tell you that before that time, I was studying a book called Islam, all about Islam. That to one side. He says, "You look lost." I says, "How do you know?" He says, "That look on your face." I says, "Well, I am lost actually." I says, "I'm looking for Coach Park." He says, "Well, that's about 2.5 miles away."
Hmm.
He says, "Follow me."
On his bike?
Yeah.
And you were in the car?
No, I was walking.
Oh, you were walking, okay.
Yeah.
Trying to do for the coach park, okay. With your wife or your own? On
I
your
was
own?
pushing the wife in the wheelchair.
Okay, in the wheelchair, okay.
And on top of that, I started following him. And he stopped at every road end for 2.5 miles and stopped the traffic so we could get across. And he carried on to the next road end.
Okay.
For 2.5 miles, back onto the road end. So I got to Coast Park. And I gave him a couple of pounds for his trouble. And he said, "Thank you." I turned down to the wife and I said, "You got to give him something then." She said, "Yeah, of course I will." So she took her purse out. She gave me a couple of pounds for him. I turned around and he vanished. I don't know where he went. I looked all over. I couldn't see him. So I said, "That's it. That's convinced me to take up Islam."
Okay.
Because there's a part in the book that mentioned a certain person in the Quran who sank ships because the king of another country wanted to get it for their wars and stuff like that.
Hmm.
He snapped his car's head off because he said he's going to commit murder in his later life. You know, then he built a wall, invented a wall in a village because there was treasure underneath it.
Hmm.
So I can't remember what to call him. That brought me
Right.
into Islam.
So then you started to research about Islam and started to speak to Muslims, did you?
I took the Shahada at home.
Shahada means a declaration of faith. When you become in the fold of Islam, you have to say, you have to declare a Shahada, witnessing that there is only one God but Allah. There's no God but Allah. And that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the messenger of Allah. And that's Shahada. That's to come into the fold of Islam, all you have to do is just recite these verses.
Okay.
That's how I came into Islam.
And then you came into Dewsbury and you started to meet some people.
Yeah.
So now that you've been a Muslim, what, 7, 8 years?
Not about 8 years.
Yeah. So what do you think? What's your life been now since these 8 years compared to what you were before?
Well, as everybody knows, there's different cultures.
Mm.
Every religion has got its own culture. Right now, going from one culture into another is actually life-saving. It's life-changing.
Mm.
So the trick is from going, say, a Christian to a Muslim.
Yes.
The trick is leaving the past, what you had before, behind,
Yes.
and trying not to fetch it forward with you.
Did you change much in your life in terms of? I know you have to do the 5 daily prayers and all the things that Muslims do, like fasting. Did you feel burdensome, or do you feel that this is part and parcel of my life now, and this is what God wants? Do you feel more happy doing that, or what?
Well, Islam is completely life-changing. You go from being confused and concerned because of your Christian beliefs,
Hmm.
right? Now they say things like the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Now that's the Trinity. Now you got to forget all that when you realise that Jesus, who we call Isa, right, was not the Son of God. He was just a prophet, like Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon them both.
Yeah, a very revered and
Yeah.
prominent prophet.
Yeah. Now, you cannot fetch the past with you. You've got to let the past go.
Yeah.
Because
But in terms of your life changes, as I say,
it is life change, because after a while you find out that trying to live in the past, you cannot advance into the future. Because if you live in the past, there's no future for you.
Okay, so now you've moved on and you've
Yeah.
forgotten the past, and you're looking at the future. You're looking at where you are now at present, and you're saying that Islam has given you this inspiration and given you a purpose of life. Do you think Islam has got a purpose of life?
The purpose in life is to do everything that's good and leave everything in the shadows. Right. Now, what I mean by that is that there is a prayer that says, "May Allah guide you along the shining path, and may your darkness dwell in the shadows, and may Isa guide you along the way."
Okay.
Peace and blessings be upon him.
Peace and blessings upon him. Yeah. So, Paul, in terms of your knowledge, you say you have a lack of knowledge about Islam and Muslims, but yet you come across Muslims. Do you see a change in people's attitudes who are Muslims compared to general population?
Yeah, but I don't think that's down to religious belief. I think that's down to an awful lot of other things.
Like culture, do you think? Like culture?
Culture, a lack of knowledge, just actual communication with people. I think, yeah, I respect that, you had that sort of life-changing moment and the beliefs that you've got. But, I do a lot of things that, I don't have those same principles, really. But I don't think I need to have a religion or a path to follow. I think I've got a path in life. And I've often said to people, it's my path. Things come along, we have opportunities in life. I've seen life like that for a long time, but it's sort of my path. I'm really quite happy with, the person that I am. I think I've had enough life experiences to sort of make some of those choices. And I'm not saying that I won't make mistakes in the future, but I'm really sort of quite pleased at some of the mistakes I've made in the past, because it means, those things come along. I'm a little bit more knowledgeable and I've got a little bit more experience that I might not do the same things in the same ways I did in the past. And then, we have that continuance along this path. I mean, as you put it, I don't particularly see it that it's dictated to, or it's a certain spiritual path or whatever. I very much see that, we have our own path in life. I think everybody does. Yeah, and for you, it's brilliant that you've found a religion, and that you think that's more to say or more engagement. It fits in with who you are better. But I think when there are so many religions and it seems that a lot of people are was it Mahatma Gandhi that said I'm not trying to convert you to my religion. I just want you to go be a better Muslim, a better Jew, a better Christian, do what you want, but, just do it better, because you know, we are supposed to be doing things. I think something that religions have in common is about, and in fact, a Jewish guy explained to me once, it's really just a rubric, a set of rules that enable us to work together, so we don't fall apart as a society. You know, and if we look at that, it's really when you get those meetings together of the different religions that you end up having a little bit of trouble. But I think if we forget those boundaries and have a look at what we're doing, we have an awful lot of things in common. You know, we could start there. That'd be a better place to start, don't you think, about doing community? Because surely, you know, and I don't know anything about Islam, but I'm absolutely certain they're interlining there that says, you know, we're going to make sure that everybody converts to what we think. You know, I don't think any religion says that. I think it's a very inclusive process, or it should be. Do you not think? I might be wrong, but
Well, like all religions, if I can intercede, all religions is open to everybody. Islam is open to anybody.
right.
Right. Now, Islam is not a religion as I see it. Islam is a way of life.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So
Christianity is a way of life.
yes.
Right. Now, they pray once a week in a church on a Sunday.
For some people,
Yeah. But the Muslim,
yeah.
the Muslim of Islam, you pray 5 times a day at a given time.
Right. All I'm saying here, you know, that's great. You know, that's a path that you choose that fits in with the way that you see the world, the way that the world interacts with you, and it interacts with other people in different ways. Doesn't mean to say that, you know, their way is wrong, your way is right. I think, you know, for many eons, you know, we've had an awful lot of trouble in the world, down to skin colour, religion, race, creed, call it what you will. I'm just thinking that, you know, maybe it would be better to go from a different perspective and think, you know, actually we're just human beings. What are the sort of things that we could do in his local area for his fellow man? Forget that we're doing it because we might be doing it for Islam or Christianity or Judaism or atheism or whatever it is you want to throw in there. You know, why don't we just go out and do something that we could do something that fed people who aren't eating?
It's a good question,
Right?
Richard.
We could
So,
do that. We don't have to do that because of Islam. That's not a reason, is it?
so that means, Richard, do you think we need Islam to be able to be good and to be able to do good work? This is the question that Paul is asking. What do you think?
If everybody got together, say, they got 2 football teams. One team is Islam, and the other team is Church of England, right? Now, the Imam might say, let's have a game of football with the Church of England team. Now, everybody in one voice might say, yes, why not? Then the vicar in the Church of England, he might say, I've heard that the team of Islam boys want to play our team at football. Are you agreeable to it? And they say, yes, why not? Now, if everybody got together on that ground, it'd be a better place. Because everybody's working together.
Right, yes.
Right. Now, I'll tell you a story about something similar. Now, there's a different culture in one country. They go to another country and find out they've got a different culture to theirs. Now, their culture is to eat meat off animals. Right?
Yep.
Now, the culture they come to their visit, each meat of the dead parents,
Okay.
right? And they say to them, we eat the meat of animals, why do you eat the meat of parents? They say, you know what? You eat meat of animals, they're sacred to us. We're not allowed to touch them.
Mm.
So one's got to convince the other that they're wrong.
Right. I'd like to come back on
Yeah.
that point, please.
Okay. Yeah, go on, Paul.
Okay. First off, you mentioned two football teams coming together. It's a confrontational situation as a football team. You've highlighted the difference, really. You know, there is a point in that stadium where two teams fight. We have football fights, you know, in this country. You know, there's been in the past, there's been some pretty major ones about team sports. It's very confrontational.
It's competitive.
It's competitive, but it is a confrontational situation. And what you were talking there about, you know, having different culture about food, yeah, that's another difference between those two cultures. And I think that if we highlight the differences, we empower those differences and they become barriers between us. Right? And the point I was trying to make was, if we don't come from that perspective about looking at what our differences are, and we start from a perspective that, look, you know, I am just another human being, right? Not anything different. I might have different beliefs, I might have different structure of life, you know, but basically, I'm just a human being and I've got a pulse, right?
Yeah.
That is something that we've all got in common in this room, isn't it? Right? Now, that isn't highlighting our differences. That means if we look at it from that perspective and other things that we've got in common, we'll find we've got a lot of things in common. And that is a much better, is that not a much better way to engage?
It is, and in fact, Islam, just 2 seconds, Richard. Islam promotes that as well. So we'll come back to this after a short break, and we'll discuss this further. Because what you're saying is exactly what Islam promotes as well, in terms of looking at respecting and valuing others, but following your faith. So we'll come back to that in a minute. So if I just, how do we going to do?
And then we know.
Yeah. Will you go into the yeah, let's go into the room. Let's go into it.
Okay, Jazakumullah khair to Mr. Kauthar Tai and also Richard Rashid, I should also say, formerly known as Richard, and also to Paul, who has very kindly come into the studio, who is not a Muslim as well. So this is the Revert show. So this is giving light as well towards from non-Muslim and also Muslim as well. And obviously the host being Mr. Kauthar Tai as well. And remember, you're listening to Al Mubarak Radio with our official sponsors and partners, Interpal. And hopefully there will be another show this evening as well, straight after. There will be a short break and then we will put a new link up, for the YouTube and also the people who are watching via our website www.almubarak.radio.com/watch-live, and those people also listening to us on the free apps which are available on the iOS and also the Android as well. Just search on Google Play and all you have to do is search for Al Mubarak Radio. Okay, I hope you like the new Al Mubarak Radio with the logo and also the new look on there as well. But still, inshallah, I've just kind of worked out a way of also, when we do go for our breaks, we've still, working on this very new studio as well. When we will be going for our breaks, the audio will also be playing, just like you'd hear it on the apps and website, etc. But it will be on the visual as well. So the adverts will be playing very soon. That we are working on. Hopefully by this weekend, inshallah, all that will be up and running as well. So I hope you are enjoying the program. Please do text in, WhatsApp in on 07868476577, whatever your views are. Okay, when the show is live, when they also come back, anybody, if there are any reverts out there listening, or anybody out there who wishes to make a call into the studio, then the telephone number for that is 01924 472 776. That's 01924 472 776. Okay, all you guys have to do is call in that number and be part, okay, of the of the show, the Revert show. You may have something that you may wish to add to the show. You may have your own views or your own opinions, and you are entitled, okay, to this your views or opinions as well. So keep listening, and inshallah we will be back very shortly. Do not go away. Hopefully just come back when they will take a couple of minutes, and once they're back they will be back on. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Fi amanillah.
The voice okay, so shall I put on to the sound? Are you on? Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brothers and sisters who are listening, welcome back. So we're here on the Revert show. Brother Abdul Rashid is talking about why he came into the fold of Islam and the story that inspired him to become a Muslim. And he's been a Muslim now 8 years. And mashallah, we'll be learning something about his story. And also Paul Burr, B-U-R-R, yeah, who's doesn't believe in any faith, but you do have spirituality in yourself, and we met only this week, and the idea was to let Paul learn about Islam and Muslims from people who are either reverted to Islam or people who are born Muslims. And I know that Paul has a lot of contact with Muslims, but there are many questions that you have in your own mind about Islam and Muslims, isn't it?
Well, again, no, I haven't really got that many questions about Islam as such. I'm thinking again about from that perspective of how would you start working together rather than looking at what the differences are between us, having a look about the things that we've got as commonality. Right, and
so coming to that point, Paul, in Islam, we believe as Muslims that Allah, God, had created everyone in the fitra state to believe in the oneness of Allah, to believe in the oneness of God. So when we talked about the projects that you talked about at my house when you came, for me as a Muslim, what inspires me to help and assist is that I'll be pleasing my Lord, I'll be pleasing Allah.
Right.
And therefore, that's what motivates me.
Yes.
No matter whether you say, well done, Kausar, or not, or thank you, or here's, this is what this is something. For me, if I please my Lord, that is considered to be an act of worship in itself. That's what motivates me. That's what motivates many people who are believing in faith, in Islam in particular, as Muslims. But doesn't mean that those who do not, they have this feel-good factor as well. And this is where the difference is in terms of what motivates a person to do certain things. And there are many who would say, what's in it for me? Yeah. So in Islam, for us as Muslims, what's in it for us is that on the day of judgment, we will be rewarded for the actions that we take, the good action that we take. Is it working? Okay. So that's the difference. So there are some people who are in the same project, same room, but their motives are different. Am I right, Brother Rashid? What motivates you to do certain things is your deen, your faith. What motivates me to do something is where my Lord, my Allah will be pleased. And that in itself is something that is just between you and Allah. So, for example, when you're fasting, nobody sees you, nobody watches you. You can secretly have a masbah, nobody will know. But what motivates me is that because this is an act of worship and I'm fulfilling a duty to Allah, then this is the reason why I'm fasting. At the moment, because of so much negativity in the media and because of Islamophobia, a lot of people believe what Islam is a violent religion that it promotes terrorism, etc., etc. And yet, people who, particularly the British people, who know that that's not true because they actually intermingle with Muslims, they travel abroad, they read, they research, and many embrace Islam. I mean, I've been told by another Revert that about 5,000 people a year embrace Islam. So therefore, it's good to learn and get inspiration from people who have reverted to Islam, but also our job as Muslims is to promote and propagate Islam, not to impose Islam on anybody or not to try to convert anybody to Islam, because there's a very powerful verse which says there's no compulsion in religion. Truth stands out clear from error. So in terms of the project that we're going to be working on, I'd be really pleased to do that because it's something that inspires me to please my Lord, and there are a lot of rewards in that. And Richard would think of the same. Is that right? Because I know that you've been doing some projects and you've also helped with the homeless project, and the fact that you've also assisted in having a stall in the town centre regularly as well, and inviting others to Islam by talking to them. So what promotes you, if I can ask you, Paul? What sort of inspires you to do good? Because you do a lot of projects, and very worthy projects that are needed as well in the community, where people who are on benefits or people who are poverty stricken, and you're assisting them. What inspires you to do that? What motivates you to do that?
It's a choice. We were talking earlier about your path in life. I've run businesses for 25 years. I've always been inclusive of the people that have worked for me. I've not been the big, strong, harsh boss. I've regarded ourselves as working together on something. So I've maybe got a bit of a different viewpoint on what you would do about management. But it seems the right thing to do.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. The motivation behind that is I've got a skill, and I've developed skills in my life over the past 50 years of being here. And there's some skills that I've got that I can quite happily tell other people about, that are valuable, massively valuable to those other people. And to me, I just know how to do them, and I can share the knowledge. And I think that it would have been pointless me learning those skills or having those experiences if I didn't share them. They'd be sort of worthless if I just keep them. Yeah. So if I share them, then we've got something we can all move on together. And why not do that? There's a choice of whether I do it or not, but I'm choosing to do it, not for any other reason, but because I know that I can do something. I explain to a lot of people, I've got a really long list of things that I'm not very good at. A huge amount, really. As I get older, it seems to be getting longer. I've got this very small list of things that I'm good at. So I'm going to concentrate on the stuff I'm good at.
But
the
question is still there. What motivates you? I mean, what motivates you to do good, Richard?
What motivates me to do good is what I like when I'm doing good. I do it for the sake of Allah.
Yeah, that's the me. I mean, I haven't given this answer too, Rashid. But even a person who embraces Islam, what happens is that you get inspired by the fact that you want to do good. You'll feel good yourself. That's in innate nature for any human being. God had created everybody like that. But the thing is that you're doing it. You're fulfilling your promise. If you've actually asked somebody that, or you've told somebody that you're going to do something, that you'll do that because you'll please Allah, you'll please your Lord, and there's a lot of rewards in that. So the same question comes to you. You've got all these skills and you want to do it. You want to utilize those skills. But what gives you that buzz? What gets you up at 8 o'clock in the morning and say, I want to do it now, because it's something that I have to do and I'm good at this. But what motivates you?
That's a really good question. It's not a God, I don't think. Yeah, it really isn't a God, and that's not anything against Islam or any of the others.
No, that's fine. Yes, but exactly. But
it isn't. it's really strange that some of the things I can do are so small and so easy for me because I've become so skilled at them in life. I've had to be. That for somebody else who I pass that skill on to, it's a massive thing. It might be the one thing that is their barrier to progression.
But that's
And
it.
because
But that's it. It's going to benefit them.
it's going to benefit
So
them,
what's
yeah.
so what's going to benefit you?
Well,
What inspires you to do that?
Okay, I really do believe that if you have that sort of feeling and you're willing to support other people, it will come back to you in droves, and it does.
And where does it come from?
It comes from other people. It's almost
And
like
how,
it's
what
almost
inspires
like-
them to do
it's
that?
almost like karma. I think it will be called. It will be that sort of exchange of doing something. It's I have a science background. I studied applied physics. So from going from a real science background to the religious side, the spiritual side is actually sort of sometimes quite a mammoth shift. And there's always that proof that's needed. Well, actually, you don't really faith in one of those things that requires proof, I don't think. I think a lot of the time it's from who you are within. You have the choice, don't you, as to do the right thing or do the wrong thing, as a lot of religions are stating. We know inside what the right things to do are, don't we? So it's a case of actually I've got an opportunity to do something and I want to do it and I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing. I'm getting some fulfillment out of it. I know that the people I'm engaging with are getting something out of it as well. I'm good at networking. I tend to sort of know when I walk into a room what the audience is like and how I can engage them in what I'm doing. We met yesterday. And literally we had an hour's conversation, and from that hour's conversation you said to me, come on my radio show. There must have been some interaction that we had.
And from this we're gonna look we're gonna look at this project about food, and we're gonna get two cultures together to enable them to get together and know each other, and more importantly, so that they can benefit themselves as well. But what the point I'm making is that what inspires me to do that is that it'll be considered to be an act of worship, that there'll be a lot of reward in this. That's the point I'm making.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So this is what Brother Rashid is saying as well, in terms of for any Muslim, whatever actions they take, anything that displeases God is considered to be a sin. Anything that pleases God is considered to be an act of worship. So it's not just the 5 daily prayers, fasting in the month of Ramadan. It's about it inspires us to do good all the time. To do good is something that is always positive for Muslim, whether you're helping a Muslim or a non-Muslim. And not only that, but if your neighbor, in fact, they might be committing sin. If your neighbor goes hungry and you have your own fill and you don't share your food, you are committing a sin. Now, if you look at a secular perspective or somebody who is individualistic, you say, this is my earning, this is for me. But then everything that you earn, everything that you own, every asset that you have is only a trust. You're just a trustee of Allah that God has given you in trust. You might have earned it. You might have fulfilled your duties and got your assets there, but it still belongs to God. And that's why a person doesn't feel sad when they come to death, because they're just going to different stages of life. They'll be going to the hereafter. And therefore, the test is if you've done good in this world, that God will reward you in the hereafter. So that's the only difference I'm saying here.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, I'm not really going through life doing anything that's bad. So
no, of course
when
not.
we get to
Absolutely.
that stage, I don't think whoever the person who's doing the reckoning up and the calculation at the end, when I come along, he's going to go, oh, Paul, hang on a second. You didn't tick that box of doing that particular thing and tick that box. But you're an all right person, really. But unfortunately, you're not. I'm probably not going to be allowed in because of those tick boxes. But I feel like that if I get there, I'll probably able to do a lot of fast talking and get through the door anyway, because I haven't done anything bad. I think I'll probably be hopefully a shining example when I get to that point.
If you haven't done anything bad, but do you believe in God though? Do you believe there's one God?
Again, I think strangely enough, maybe a year ago, I would have probably said no, and had lots of reasons why not. And last year I met someone who was very much into spiritualism and the spirit and how things interact, and really different perspective, actually. I think more like Buddhism, or very sort of a different approach. And I thought, I'd spend a week sorry, 2 weeks in this person's company on a holiday in Portugal, and not somebody that I normally interact with, but it made me realise that a lot of the things, she just came along and said, "You're a really centred, calm person, aren't you?" That's what I don't know.
Mm.
And it's like, well, maybe I am, but she pointed out some of the things that I was doing in life that are all those centred and calm, and
Mhm.
so maybe yeah, actually maybe I have had a different view on it, but I don't think.
So if
it's
you
a
believe in,
different view.
so there is a God, you believe there is a God.
A spirit, what do they call it? God, deity? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think it really needs that
Yeah.
sort of belief.
A deity,
term and
yeah, a
name.
deity, somebody who's
you
got
know,
control over everything.
Again, I don't know if it's about control over everything. I think I think it would
So
be
human
more
beings
of an
have more control.
encouraging, supporting role rather than a controlling role.
So Rashid, what do you think?
They just mentioned belief in God.
No, I said a belief in a spirit. I don't know if I'd call it a God as such.
Right.
Because once you start calling something a God, it has different meanings to different people.
Mhm.
And that causes, again, that barrier and that difference. I'm thinking about, okay, whatever it is that you have, that thing about you that gives you that drive, that's just good, right? That's just a good place to be. That's worth sharing. And I wouldn't call it God.
They just mentioned barrier. The best way around the barrier, if you walk around it and look back, the barrier is still there. If you go down the other side and walk, look back, the barrier is still there. If you climb over the barrier and walk on and look back, the barrier is still there. But if you take the barrier down, pick right, and throw it away, the barrier is not there anymore. Right? Now, this will now, may God forgive me for saying this. After I took the Shahada, I had a vision. Now, this vision was at a car boat place. Right? I remember the car boat place because it was our lane in Hillsbury. And between these two stalls, which were covered in white cloth, there was a mighty arch. And in this archway was two angels in fine gold. The gold was that fine, you could see through. Now this is a still vision what I saw. And they had their arms folded like that, and they were looking down at the Quran, and the cloth cleared up. And I stopped watching. One of the angels turned his head towards me. He was on my right. And he took it down like that, as though to touch me, then he took me straight back. And I looked down at the Quran again. And I had that vision translated by him. And he simply said, if that angel had touched you, you'd have been dead on the spot. But he took his arm back because Allah told him to leave me alone because he's got better things in mind for me.
Okay,
And that is true, isn't it?
excellent.
Now I believe in the spirit. I believe in Allah, which you'll call God. I believe in angels. I believe in life after death and stuff like that.
Okay.
But do you believe life after death? Do you believe in many Christians, many Jews, we believe in resurrection and life after death?
Yeah, they do.
Many non-Christians and non-Jews also believe in life after death. Do you believe in life after death?
It don't bother me whether there is or there isn't.
Hmm.
You know, I think I think, you know, if we put here, you know, and we've got a particular set of skills, whether, again, don't call it God, because you're putting words in my mouth,
Yeah.
right? I haven't called it God, and I'll reiterate the point just to get the point across. If we call it God, then people have that different view of God, and that, again, emphasizes those differences. And those differences can then lead to barriers. I'm not calling it God, I'm just saying, I'm just a normal human being, right? And I'm doing some things which have an interaction with community about how we could all work together, regardless of what your faith and what your belief is. Because I think if we, you know, if we come from that perspective, we've got a real chance of actually getting to know each other, because every community has got similar types of problems. It's just that we don't communicate the problems, and we end up with barriers, and that's just a different way. I've got a 19-year-old son, and I'm 51 years old. I would hope that when he's 51, it's a better world we're living in, and a more compassionate world. And, you know, and we're not throwing 40% of the food that we produce on the planet into the ground, because, you know, we don't need to do that. We could actually do something that fed people. That would just be a very simple thing to do, and we can do it, and we're going to do it. I think.
Inshallah, which means God willing, yes.
Yeah, well, we have a positive thought about wanting to do something. And I think when we see that positive thought about what we want to do, and we can encourage some more people to come along and say, hey, look, we're just doing something which is for good. If you're doing it because of your belief structure or whatever, that's fine. But it's about actually getting together and working together and getting something done. And we can all benefit from it. And we don't have to say it's because of any particular thing, apart from the things that we've got in common. Right, so that's probably why I'm going to highlight the God thing. But it doesn't matter, you know. It's actually doing the task that's really important, that we'll be judged for, isn't it?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So let's do the task, right? You know, whatever thing we get out of it. You know, to the person who's not eating tonight, that's sleeping in Dewsbury Market on a market stall because they're homeless. You know, if tomorrow we could sort something out that cooked them some food and gave them the food, they wouldn't be hungry.
That's true. Yes.
Right? And whilst ever we have a conversation about what our differences are and how we're going to change, and a lot of people are doing that on the planet, they're talking about the differences. And when we have a look at media, it tells us what
we need to do is, like you say, we look at the commonalities that exist among us, and work together.
Things. Start at the point of what have we got in common? Well, I can tell you now, the three of us sat around this table, what we've got in common. It's the colour, it's who we are, right? We are human beings, and we've got a pulse. We're here, we could do something, and start at that point. And then I think we can get more people in under those circumstances, under that criteria of you're a human being and you've got a pulse. Let's see what we can do. Well, the first thing we do is feed people. You know, hopefully the next time we meet, we will have something which people are going to come along and go, wow, that's a good idea. We want to engage your audience. You know, the 2 or 3 people that are listening to this are really, really important people. Because we need them to go and tell 2 of their friends, hey, come and listen to this radio show next Tuesday, because they're going to make an announcement that either they've done something or they're going to tell us that actually we haven't done anything because we didn't. And it's our choice of whether we do something or not. We have an opportunity. So we said we'll do it. Let's find out where we are next Tuesday, and we might surprise people. But we need to engage your audience to come along and say, do you know what? It's not just about getting another person who's, you know, a belief in Islam to come and listen. It's about how we maybe get some other people from the community to come along and engage about what we're doing. And then we've got a chance of breaking some of these barriers down, because we're just going to ignore the barriers. There's somebody else's barriers that are put there to have fear between us. I mean, I don't want fear. We shouldn't build things on fear.
And at the moment, there is a lot of fear and a lot of misunderstanding amongst different people and cultures because of the negativity that's there in the media as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that I hear on the media. I work with helping people who want to start their own businesses. I've been doing that for 3 years, and I look at what it's like for people who are unemployed, people on ESA and job, that's disability allowance, people who are on benefits. You know, there are 580,000 people that have been sanctioned in the past year, which means they don't get benefit. More people have been sanctioned, I think, due to some local figures that have actually got jobs. You know, and when we take a look at what the media that we're told, hey, look, there's more jobs and the jobless totals are coming down. People are on 0-hour contracts, no stability in the jobs. You know, really, really struggling on low wages, and it affects everybody in communities. And when I hear about the stuff that comes through in the media, and I'm looking at the people I'm working with and thinking, this just isn't right. The numbers are different. For some reason, we're not being told what the correct numbers are. There's a spin on things. Everyone's going to get in their HMRC documents that come through some literature that tells you about how many people are on welfare. And in order to do that, the government have defined the word welfare to be something else from what it was measured like last year. So it makes it look worse.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to hear information like that being manipulated.
That's true. And it happens a lot of times, isn't it?
Yeah, I would prefer for us to go and do something and challenge the system and say, look, we're doing something here for our community. The money that's available to support community, where is it? It's supporting us. We're the community.
Yeah. Okay, we're nearly coming to an end now. Brother Rashid, is there anything that you want to say or ask another question to Brother Paul before we end?
No, I've listened with interest, and I wish my colleagues all the best for the future.
Yeah, thank you. And yourself, you know, I appreciate how you came across Islam and the things, you know, and what that meant to your life, and that's brilliant. You know, go ahead and prosper and.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you're doing for the community. Because we believe as Muslims that if we think of doing something good and do it, we get 10 times the reward.
That'll be fantastic, I'm sure, if it comes.
If we think of committing a sin and we do it, we get 100 times the last, figuratively speaking. Now, if you think of doing a sin and you don't do it, then you get 5 times the reward for not doing it. Which is a good thing because it's a reward for not sinning. That's what we believe in.
Right, excellent.
So, all that we wish on ourselves, we wish on you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and likewise, you know, and you know, there isn't I'm not here saying, hey, look, you know, you got to do something else. Actually, I'm saying, hey, you know, keep going and do it better.
Yeah.
You know, I'll do the same. You know, encourage some other people to do the same. You know, let's those things that we do is good together. Let's do it.
One of the good things, Paul, about you is that you've seen all this negativity in the media about Islam and Muslims, yet you still get on with Muslim community. You still work with them. You know that what's happening in the media is not true, and you just want to still help and assist whoever they are, Muslims and non-Muslims. And Paul is quite keen to get East Europeans together to help them because they feel very isolated in our community. And it's about breaking barriers and helping and assisting people particularly who are homeless.
I already work with Eastern European people. I've been for about 18 months now. And the communities that I've come across that have got such a similarity and so inclusive, they're friends now. They're not people I'm working with, they're friends. And they treat me like a brother. And when I've been hungry, they've shared meals with me, even though I know they've been hungry themselves.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
So we need to end it here now. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for coming, Rashid. Thank you very much for coming. I'm sure we'll have you again one of these days. And good to see you again, Paul.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much indeed. So thank you for listening, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Be careful. Big blow, isn't it? Cheers, big blow. But I need to go to my meeting now. I have to go. Catch you again later. Speak to you later.
Okay, Jazakumullah khair to Mr. Kauthar Tai and also to Richard, who is now known as Rashid, and also Mr. Paul, who I am sure you will be hearing of again. We're going to be taking a break now, inshallah, for about half an hour. And inshallah, we will be back live again at 8:30 p.m. Get your kids ready before they go to sleep to pray a few Quran and a few nasheeds, etc. And hopefully, inshallah, we will be back around 8:30 p.m. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Fi amanillah.